Hi everyone, I'm Amy Pham, the Art Gallery Manager at the Woodlands Art Gallery Studios, and here I have with me is Chiles Startz, aka EP Chiles, our current featured artist, and we're here for an interview with her to chronicle her work, her current exhibit, and future projects. Hi Emily.
Hi Amy, thanks.
So I want to start off with talking a bit about your background in theater. So you have a degree from Skidmore College with a theater degree, and I wanted to ask you, how have your experiences with theater contributed to your artwork?
Well, it's really a kind of a funny story because when I started taking art classes, my teacher would say, "How is it that you're so loose?" And I said, "Well, I only know loose." And thinking about the theater experience, the only thing I can think of is that I was painting big sets, and you had to use big motions, and so that is a very loose treatment with the brush. And I don't have a very tight art lesson background where, you know, as kids they're taught how to draw and do this very exact, and I never took art classes in school because I was an actress. So that's why I'm dramatic.
Yeah, because when I look at your abstracts, they're very expressive, and I feel like the background in theater and being that expressive with your body contributes to being that expressive with the paintbrush and doing your abstracts.
Well, I learned in tennis follow through, and it's the same thing with an abstract. You've got to make the motion just big.
Yeah.
Like you're hitting a tennis ball. And I think if you look at the abstracts here, you can see that. Because and that's part of the fun, is just going for it with gusto.
So not only do you create abstracts, you also have landscapes, which is your current exhibit. Could you share the distinctive creative process you have for landscapes versus abstracts?
Well, the landscapes are usually from either I've been there or I'm actually plein air producing, you know, outside painting. And so I'm in wonderful places. I might be in Sedona, or I might be at Ghost Ranch, or just in the fall colors of New Hampshire. And so I'll be engaged with the power of what I'm seeing in person. Or I'll have traveled, and I have traveled extensively, and I'll have recorded those things, you know, with my little iPhone, and then I say, wow, that would make a great painting, and then I'll be inspired to do that. And so these are things that I would like to invite the viewer to just go into the picture. Like if you could be, you know, a science fiction story, you could go into the landscapes and go, I've escaped.
Yeah, right.
And so some of my paintings will actually have a bench or something, and it will come sit with me or something.
Yeah.
Because that, again, it invites you. Whereas the abstracts are emotional, and you know, and that's part of the, you know, the gusto.
Right. Yeah.
And one of my first abstracts was due to a frustration with QuickBooks. And so, because I was so frustrated, I said, I have to paint this. I have to paint out my frustration.
When you talk about inviting like a viewer to come in and sit within your painting, your landscapes, it's funny you say that because an artist that dropped off their work for our upcoming show, she talked about how one of the paintings, she just wanted to go into it and just wanted to sit there and be with it in that landscape. So I thought that was...
Well, I was thrilled to hear her, because I was here when she said that. I was like, oh,
that's exactly what you want. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've worked in the corporate world in Houston. You've also taken art classes at the Houston Art League, and you've opened up your own art gallery. I want to ask you, looking back at your career, what are some like pivotal moments or achievements that stand out to you?
Well, you know what's kind of interesting is when I was a child in Midland, Texas, my mother was doing decorations for her church, and one of one year they had art from, I guess, a local artist, and every week they would change out the art, and the art was living at our home. And that was, I guess, the first exposure I had to original art.
Right.
And then Midland is a very cultured town, and I got exposed to museums there also. And then, ironically, I would date gentlemen whose exes had original art collections, and they would loan some wonderful pieces to their exes, and I would like, that is really cool. And so, but I never dreamed that that I would be doing this.
Right.
But in 2016, well, actually 2014, I took some workshops at the Houston Art League, and that was my first exposure to, oh, this is fun, and I want to take some more classes. And so 2016 is when I got my first oil materials and signed up for a class, because you know it is a big commitment.
Yeah.
And my teacher said, "Thank you for sharing your talent with me." That was after day one, and I went, "Oh my God, what a nice thing to say."
Yeah.
And then the second class, I said to myself, you know, I could do this the rest of my life, because I was getting such pleasure out of doing this that I would step back and go, I did that, and I like it. I like this.
Right.
So pivotal moments. It's hard to say that there's any one thing. I guess the big thing was seeing this space and going, I could do more than just paint for myself. I could help others.
I wanted to also ask you, your portfolio of your work, it shows a diverse range of emotions and experiences, which I feel like relates well to your background in theater and just who you are as a person. Could you share how your personal journey and personal moments have influenced the emotional depth of your artwork?
Well, you know, when you're my age, you've got so many stories you could draw from, and you can, you know, perception and interpretation could be anything. I guess, you know, the fact that I do landscapes versus portraits, you know, people say, oh, or they ask me, oh, do you do portraits? I said, you know, portraits are really easy to do poorly. And so I don't do portraits because I'd rather do landscapes. I want to be able to be creative and have more expression than, oh, I didn't capture the exact image of that face or something. So it's very difficult, and I want to do something easier.
Yeah.
So
something more personal to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in your abstract pieces, there's a lot of physicality, as we've talked about before. What inspires you to lean into the abstract art?
Well, what happened was I had someone back out on me, and I said, oh, I need to fill the spot. And I had done some abstracts back in the 1980s, and I said, well, I'll just do some abstracts.
Ah.
And so, although actually I was thinking about doing some paint pouring, and I had done that in the 80s. And then it just evolved into this strong black and whites that I just love, you know. In fact, I'm wearing this little black and white just for the interview, and that shows how, you know, the theater of me, you know. But, you know, so I don't start off with I'm going to paint this abstract in a certain way. I often apply tape to the raw canvas, or the gessoed canvas, and then I just start throwing paint around, and then I start and I have music going, and sometimes but I don't want to. It has to be very simple, because you do too much and then it just becomes a mess.
Right.
And so I like to have a very short time to express the music and my feelings. And so then you have to stop. And then you let it dry, and then you take the tape off, and then that's the reveal.
Right.
That sometimes that's so powerful.
Yeah.
The negative space.
I particularly think it's interesting how you don't necessarily plan what you do when you go into it. It's sort of like impromptu, kind of in the moment thing. I also wanted to ask you, being an artist comes with a lot of different advantages and disadvantages, as you know. What are some challenges that you faced as an artist, and how did you overcome them?
Well, I can't say I've overcome them. I'm expressing my talent, and people admire it, and I want more people to buy my art.
And lastly, can you give us a glimpse into any upcoming projects or anything that you are looking to work for or looking to experiment with?
Well, I take workshops regularly, and we have different wonderful artists that come into the Woodlands area, and I take workshops from them. So the latest one I've signed up for is taking paintings from the from plein air to the studio, and so that's with the current show. That's basically what I did.
Mm-hmm.
I had my plein air paintings. Then I took it to the studio and did a little bigger images of those plein air. So like 8 by 10 was the size for the plein airs,
Right.
and 16 by 20 doubles the size
Yeah.
for the gallery. And then I did 30 by 40-inch paintings. So and all along I kind of change them a little bit, and because again the challenge is how do you take a small image and make it bigger on a canvas. It's not like a photograph where you just blow it up. You have to actually start again and place your figures,
Right, yeah.
and you know, the colors, and you, that's part of the challenge, which I was pleased with the result.
Yeah, I think it just looks great, and there's a very cohesive storyline going on throughout the entire show.
Good, thanks. And thanks for helping me with that.
Yeah, of course. Thank you everyone for watching this segment of the interview, and the next part will have a walkthrough with Emily going through her current exhibit.